Welcome to Gray Overload, and let's talk a little bit about Xbox here because they just came out with the ROG Ally Xbox, whatever the name is called, right? And there's been a lot of talk about some other stuff with Sarah Bond coming out. The next console will be very premium, and then there's been the Bloomberg report that was talking about how the Xbox studios are asking them to hit 30%. So I'm going to try to mash that all together and give some of my thoughts on this. It just goes to more showing that Xbox is a mess, but I will say this, at least they're trying to communicate, because that's one thing I thought that they've been doing a very bad job at, and maybe they still are, right? Maybe they still don't know themselves, don't know where they're going, but we can hope that they finally get to a point where, you know, it may make some sense to them. I mean, well, let's start with the Ally, right? From what I've seen on reviews and everything else, that Allied software is, I guess it's not Ally itself, right? It's Windows, Xbox, needs some work. There is much to be desired there. The Xbox president, Sarah Bond, went out and she did say that uh, the Ally price was set by Asus, and Asus wanted to make money on this. So, I what is the overall cost, what it should be. Xbox, before games would sell their hardware, and maybe a loss to get you in, and now, if Asus is building it, they have no incentive to really do that. So, I don't know what to make about it, but when she's going off and saying, the next gen hardware is in development, it's going to be a very premium design, with AMD, considering what AMD has done with Sony here recently, what they've came out with. I expect the Xbox to be more premium than that. I don't know if it really matters that the consoles are competitive in performance. I really think that they're going to need to be just different type of, they're addressing different type of markets, and we'll get into that here in a second, because the different type of markets is interesting in the fact that AMD wants, to have this profit margin on the game studios at 30%. What are they going to want on the console there? So if that is going to be the case, I think it could get weird fast at Xbox there if they don't keep handing off and communicating in a way that does it, right? Does the Sarah Bond's quote here, I can tell you right now that the next gen console is going to be very premium, very high end, curtailed experience. You starting to see some of that thinking we have in this handheld. I don't want to just give it all away. Well, on that comment, why is there so many problems with this? Is the Xbox software more of a beta, or more of an alpha, I should say, and it's not even in beta stage yet? Because from what it seems to the reviews is that their performance leaves much to be desired on these devices, and even when it competes with some other ones, or you were able to put Steam on it, etc., or compete with the Steam Deck, you're not seeing the performance you'd think you'd see from what's out there. And I have some concerns about what Xbox is going to do, because if they don't get the software right, if they don't get this, performance hitting where it's going to be. Let's say it is a Windows box and they're trying to do this whole Windows console thing, allow backwards compatibility, and then also it's a console so that all the games are built on this with Windows going forward, so they can kind of make sure a lot of the games are all Windows compatible, backwards compatible right from the get-go, if they were to go move to a more Windows type model for consoles and for the future, right? I'm thinking 16 years, 10, 16 years down the road to another console generation or two, right? At that point, what are they looking at then? If they don't kind of iron this out and get this right, Windows right now is in a state of muck. It's a state of disaster. It's not in a great state of saying, you know what, this is a robust system. This is something I want to make sure I get on my system and I'm going to enjoy using it. There's no point of where enjoy using it is with Windows right now. Even in gaming, there's no point where anyone's saying, I enjoy using this. And if there is, I will be shocked, because you must be using it for one thing and that must work perfectly, because I've dealt with more Windows problems this week doing even corruption of files with old software and everything else than I care to deal with. They just broke another USB wireless thing or something I was reading in the latest Windows update. It's a mess, right, overall. And if they want something to really take off and really be something where gamers can rely on, because the main thing is, right, with the console, you want that game to launch, you want it to be able to be playable in whatever settings and just work. It's not like me where I want to tinker with the settings. I want to get the, well, certain settings turned on, turned off, have my performance hit a certain mark, have the quality of the image be a certain quality, etc. The consoles here, that chip is going to be expected to hit certain performance metrics, and people just want to launch that game and make sure it works. So where is that going to get to here, and can Microsoft accomplish that at any level, is something that I don't know if it's possible. Maybe the Ally will get there. I don't know, but we're going to have to see a multitude of updates. I'm going to be watching these updates as they come, to see as reviewers come out and be like, you know what, we've improved here. We're doing this, because I don't have one. I don't anticipate spending $1,000 on one. And so if they are going to be at $1,000, I'll let somebody else test them at this point. And so let's continue on with that, where Sarah Bond was saying that, let's see here, I talked about the next Xbox being expensive there, so that's what I wanted. But Sarah Bond was talking about how game exclusives are antiquated. Well, they may be. One can say, yeah, we like cross-platform, and I think that cross-platform gaming and making sure it's on whatever platform your players play at is a great idea. But also the same vein here, I'll say this, is that while you are taking away exclusives for the Xbox and putting them on everything, that's fine, allows more players to play them. You still have to take care of the people that have invested into your platform and support your platform. I mean, if you raise prices on the Xbox Game Pass and you're going through, if you just keep throwing all your customers underneath the bus and don't give them a communication, this can lead to a bad scenario down the line. Now, this is where I like where Sarah Bond's out there kind of communicating some of this of, our next Xbox is going to be very powerful, right? We don't want to just sit on Xbox exclusive. We want everybody to be able to play. But in the same time, she's like, but we want to give you a good console that's very powerful. So there is some positives here of, you being on Xbox, you're going to get some benefits here and going to get that over. Now, if we can get Halo 5 on PC, that solves my all my Xbox needs. And so I don't need an Xbox. I can play that on the PC, and I think I got all the games that I had on Xbox on PC then that I care about, or I like to play, I should say, which is a good thing. I like that. So I completed the transfer. I did sell my Xbox. A nice guy that came here wanted to play it. So he's going to use it more than what I was using it in the last year, the last 2 years since I bought it. He probably in a month can probably play it more than what I did. We'll see how that all goes. But I still want a game. I still like the game, but I'll build my own PC for that. And if Microsoft can solve that and still give to their customers, maybe the option is that they make Windows the best place for gaming, if they can figure out the software stuff and everything else, and that's where they're delivering it. And it doesn't matter if you're exclusives or not, or where the exclusives are, because they're going to make the Xbox brand the best place to where the games are at. You're going to want to go to Xbox, wherever that is, your Xbox Game Pass, Xbox console, Xbox on PC, and those are going to be the best spots best devices to play the games at. Your handheld device is going to run Windows with a very gaming focused layer to make sure you get the best performance out of that handheld. If they do something like that, they can maybe have an item that all of a sudden attracts and be like, this is what, this is part of the Xbox ecosystem. This is how we're delivering to our Xbox players to make sure that they have the best experience. That could be one of the areas where they're going to focus on, making sure they're taking care of their Xbox fans and Xbox supporters, is that the best experience is on here. If you want our games, they will be everywhere. But the best experience and the reason why you want to come to us, buy your games, and have our consoles and everything else is because they're the best. Now, do I think they're going to get there? That's a whole nother story and video. But what I will say on this, I think Sony is going to have a very compelling product to be able to compete for them. I don't think that Nintendo does their own thing and people will buy those Nintendo consoles because of what they do and how their consoles are a little bit different than everybody else's. But I think Sony, with their success here with Mark Cerny, is being able to deliver on that performance, on certain technological decisions to make sure that the game studios have what they need to develop games for the life cycle of the console. And then you come out with that Pro to just help you out a little bit more at the last couple of years of that cycle, to make sure that throughout the cycle the games are all being well made, very playable across the console series. And I think they're going to continue to do that. So, you know, Xbox needs to make their money back somehow. They spent a lot of money on these consoles, and whether it's Sarah Bond or Phil Spencer talking, it seems like it's gone from investing into games and gamers and into investing into what profits are. And that's going to bring us into our last little story here I was looking at, which is, Bloomberg had this, that the Xbox is, closing studios, canceling games, doing all this stuff, raising prices, cutting jobs, uh, across platform. We've already talked about a lot of this. The console that is, the handheld is $1,000, right? The console prices are going up. Xbox Game Pass there, so you got the handheld that's just 1,000, right? You have consoles that are like 700 and stuff like this. You start looking at it, you're like, why would they do that? Now, according to the article, highly recommend you go check it out, is that they want Amy Hood, CFO of Microsoft, wants this to go through. So whatever, I'm guessing this is not just Amy Hood, but it's from the whole, higher ups, executive board at Microsoft. They want to hit 30% or higher margins. And the overall gaming industry has really not been there. It's at 17 to 22% in 2018, and we're probably a little bit lower than that now, just how things are. And we've seen kind of even some other studios being canceled. So what does this do? Now, I have a few thoughts on this. I can see, and well, first off, this is why you don't let financial people make your decisions. Financial people can put guardrails on there, and maybe the guardrail is everything has to hit 30%, or yeah, we're not investing, what we need to in here. You work your way up. This is a surefire way to push out things in this area of what you're trying to grow. Maybe Amy Hood does not have the decision to wanting to grow Xbox. She just wants to make it be profitable, and maybe the profitability of it is it closing down. Maybe that's how she sees it. I don't know, but there's only speculations there of what we hear, what the executive board is saying and what we hear during investor calls, etc. When you start looking at this, the 30% goal, I think, is a very strong, goal to have. It's very much, you're shooting for it, but it should not be the end goal. If you're going to be profitable on something, even if it is a lot lower, especially, let's say you are averaging in that 17 to 22%. Let's say you have one a little bit lower, it's still profitable, doesn't lose money, but then one that maybe hits a lot higher, right? If you get into there and be like, you know what, this is this is what we can hit, but we are growing our Xbox brand, and we're growing it with our customers to be able to build back and put faith in them that we are supporting them and making sure we're taking care of the gamer. I think that you eventually will get to where you want your profits to be. The whole guardrails of being, we need to be this 30% and we better hit it ASAP. Now, is it ASAP? I think it actually is ASAP. I think that's what the Amy Hood and Microsoft are trying to do. The gaming division is, you're putting the Xbox division in a hard area to succeed based upon everything you've purchased recently. I get it, you want to have that money back in there, but not everything. I mean, this is where I've gone to see Microsoft pulling more of a Google. 3 years we pulled a plug, 3 years we pulled a plug. Well, where does that put us? Happens to be, where are they in AI? Oh yeah, that's right, they're behind. Oh, why is that? Because they have this whole attitude where it needs to make money right away rather than putting, the effort in to actually grow it and build it up slowly and make sure that you're putting an effort in. If you know that there's something long term that you want to put your effort in and that you think it's going to be very profitable, it will take a little bit of time, maybe multiple years, maybe a decade, bing, before it becomes profitable. Maybe then you want to do that and take that route of it, because then you have built that more logically and up to be able to have a support system there to be able to continue that. Let's say you keep down this route of saying your games need to hit this, and you keep killing off IP that may have not been profitable the first game, but may be eventually a hit game or hit series. Let's say you didn't think it was going to hit your goals, but all of a sudden it comes out, a lot of people like it and take to it. That can be a blessing in disguise in that in the industry there, for you to be able to capitalize on that. And you're getting a little bit more competition here, right? Battlefield 6 is out, happens to be Black Ops 7s will be out soon. That's going pretty close to head to head. We'll see how that actually competes here very soon, because let's say Black Ops 7 takes a hit overall, kind of what we know from the past couple years, that could spell a little bit more of a bad sign for Microsoft long term, because it'll show that you have started to damage the Xbox brand more than what you maybe anticipated. And I think if that is the case, it's going to start falling squarely on Amy Hood, not the Xbox gaming studio division, right? You have to start thinking that if the guardrails are enough, do you just constantly blame who was in charge of it, or do you start blaming who approved all the purchases and allowed this to go through, and then put the restrictor plates on it to be able to go and say this needs to be done because of everything else because of all the money we've put into it. Not exactly the same growth path of making sure you invest in your customers to deliver to them so that they want to support you and be able to be, somebody that says, yes, I actually want to buy these games. I actually want to invest in Game Pass. I actually want to buy your console. I actually want to do things that you release because I do see a benefit. So that's kind of where I'm thinking on all of this, the whole Activision hitting the 30% or the acquisitions, I should say, of Activision, Blizzard King, also ZeniMax, all those studios, right? That's how I'm thinking about this and the consoles. But I want to talk about this because it seems like it's in the news, and it seems like Xbox keeps trying to trip over its feet more and more. And it's not just the heads of Phil Spencer or Sarah Bond. I think they're actually trying to keep it together a little bit with all the restrictions and things that they've had to change based upon some of the decisions that have come from higher ups in the executive, more of the executives with Amy Hood, I'd even say Sasha Nadella and stuff. Will be interesting to see, because with all the money that you spent, you kind of want a return for it. And if Amy Hood just kind of sees this and keeps with the restrictor plates and she destroys that return on it, who's really to blame? Somebody that got rid of somebody that wanted to purchase this to keep on, investing in the games and grow the gaming industry, or the one that wanted to just pitch everything because it didn't hit the 30%. With that, let me know what your comments are below. I'll be sure to read them. Thank you so much for supporting Wherever Alone and help this channel grow. I really do appreciate it. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit that bell icon, as it really does help with the channel. Until next time, God bless.